For the past month or so, I've been thinking a lot about life, and when people say that, they usually mean what they want to do in life, whether that be their career or relationships or entertainment or leisure. But I've been thinking differently, of course. I've been thinking about those things, but I've also been thinking about how much of your life is really yours. How much of your life is really being lived to its full potential? Are you living, or are you just existing on average? You're gonna get about 79 years on this big rock called Earth. If you live in Monaco, it's closer to 90. If you live in Chad, you'll be lucky to get 50 regardless. We don't get 79 years of freedom, we have responsibilities and things that we can't ignore. Most importantly, our bodies, assuming you sleep 8 hours a night on average, about a third of your life or 26 years is going to be spent sleeping. So right away we're down from 79 to 53, but it doesn't stop there. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you're going to or have gone to school in the United States. You'll go for at least 12 years, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, for 36 weeks a year. This amounts to 17,280 hours, spent just inside the school building. But wait, we also have to factor in homework and out-of-school activities among other things. So this is more like 22,000 to 25,000 hours, or about 3 years of your life. If you go to college or university afterwards, make it 5 years. Instead, we're down to 48 years. Well, all the schooling and money you spent getting a degree has to be put to some use, right? Chances are, you'll try and get a job in the field of whatever it is your degree is in. It'll probably be a full-time job. So you'll be working 40-hour weeks pretty regularly. If not more than that. Let's say you get 2 weeks of vacation per year. The average person works for about 40 to 50 years of their life. So we'll just go with the average and say 45 over your entire life. You'll work on average about 90,000 hours, or about 10 years of your life. We have 38 years left. Wait. Depending on where you live, your commute to work will vary. You might drive yourself, you might walk, you might use an Uber or a taxi. Regardless, your commute to and from work on average takes about 5 hours a day. Adding this up over your entire working career, it amounts to 17,520 hours, or about 2 years of your life. 36 years left. All of this work and studying really builds up an appetite. So you should probably spend some time eating on an average day. We spend about 70 minutes just eating food to survive in your 79 years of life. You'll spend about 32,000 hours just eating, or about 4 years of your life down to 32. Well, after you're done eating, you have to clean up and maybe do some chores around the house. On average, you spend about 1 hour a day doing tasks just around your house, cleaning up after you eat, washing dishes, doing laundry, showering, and plenty of other stuff. This amounts to nearly 29,000 hours over the course of your life, or about 3 years, 29 years left. Eventually, all of that food and water has to leave your body somehow. You'll spend about 3 months of your life just sitting on the toilet. Yeah, of course. We also waste time, and we do it pretty well over the course of our lifetimes. We'll spend about 115,000 hours on our phones, or about 13 years. This, of course, is just your phone. This doesn't include you watching TV, you playing games, among other things. 16 years left. Assuming you can afford to retire at the average age of 62, you'll spend the rest of your life living the luxuries of retirement, if you can still function properly. Over 50% of retired people over the age of 65 have some sort of disability, with 15% of those people having 3 or more. Chances are, if you are one of these people, you'll be in and out of medical care pretty often. So those final 16 years of freedom you have, it's a coin flip that doesn't exactly entail freedom. So overall, you have 1 year in your 79-year life to really and truly do what you want to do. But despite the age, you might be young or old, you may be nearing the end of your time with some of the most important people in your life. For example, while you're young and in school from the ages of 1 to 18, you'll most likely be spending nearly every day in the presence of your parents. After you finish your schooling, assuming your parents are in their mid-40s, we'll say they have about 30 years left in their life. The real world starts to set in. Your job, your possible relationships, your important things to do in life take priority, eventually. If you leave your hometown, you'll only be seeing your parents around holidays and special occasions, maybe 10 days a year. So 300 days left for the people who brought you into the world. Whereas before you would see them almost every single day, you have already spent 95% of the time that you will ever spend with your parents in the first 18 years of your life. And now you only have the remaining 5% for the rest of your life at the end of the day. There's only one thing that matters, and that's your own happiness. What many people don't realize is that they do so many things in life just to try and succeed as opposed to fulfilling a purpose. They work a job they hate for 40 years just to make that extra $30,000 a year. So they can afford a car that they only drive to work. It's temporary happiness, not genuine happiness. People go to school to become a doctor because their mom or their dad or somebody else told them to, not because they actually want to. I really hope that every single person watching this video gets insanely rich and famous, so that they can finally realize that this isn't the point of life. The point is to be happy with what you're doing while you're doing it. Alright? Sure. The 45 working years or however long you're working is going to be hard to get past. But what if you don't hate waking up every day to go to work? What if your work is your happiness? You see, life isn't a straight path. You can't map it out perfectly, one-to-one. It just doesn't work like that. We spend every day planning on what we're going to do the next, instead of just taking in the day for what it actually is. Sure, we have to eat, duh. But what if we spend that time eating with friends or family, or just people who make your life better? Your commute to work might be long and tedious sometimes. But what if you spend that time listening to podcasts or carpooling with coworkers and friends? The 13 years we waste on our phones might seem useless. But what if we use that time to build the business you've always wanted to, or build the brand you've always wanted, or make a YouTube channel to talk to people about the random ideas you get? You'll bring so much value to people that you never even thought was possible. Let's say you take care of yourself and regularly work out and eat decently. Well, your chances of being healthy later in life is much more likely, and you'll have much more free time to master the things that you really want. Whether that be a skill or just relationships with others, no matter what you or I or any person on this planet does, time doesn't stop for anyone. Time is the one thing you cannot get back. If you lose a lot of money, it's fine. You can get more. If your friend decides to turn their back on you, it's fine. There's millions of people out there in the same situation. But time, you can't get it back. Once it's gone, it's gone. How many days have you spent doing the same mundane tasks that you hate? And more importantly, when is it going to end? Life is about choices. Every choice you've ever made has led you to this exact moment watching this video, and given that you only have one life, at least in this universe, why not make your own decisions? So many people live life predicated on somebody else's opinion, which is dumb. People have so many barriers in life, but they aren't really about money. They aren't about time. They aren't about how you look. It's about opinions, other people's opinions. Probably about 90% of people are unhappy because they value someone else's opinion more than their own. When you're old and unable to do the things that you could have when you're younger, you'll regret, and regret hurts more than any breakup, failure, or anything else ever could. Life doesn't have to suck. You don't have to regret everything. That FOMO or fear of missing out is a poison. Instead of living trying to mimic people you see on Instagram or YouTube or social media, just live based on your own terms. Instead of just observing and living passively, really start to think about what you do with your time. Does that mean call your boss and tell him you quit? No. Does that mean drop out of school tomorrow? No. All it means is to truly decide what you want in life and put yourself in the right direction. It's not going to happen overnight. That's not the point. There would be no journey. Then, as cliché as it sounds, your 79-year journey here is very short. Sure, it's technically the longest thing you'll ever do. But the universe is 13.8 billion years old. If the universe's history was condensed down into 24 hours, the world as we know it, with cars and airplanes and civilization as we know, It would only come into existence in the very last second. Block out any and all negativity in your life. And once you can truly realize that the only opinion that matters is your own, life can get pretty clear and the noises inside your head get pretty quiet.